education as it is, even today, is not the first choice of the toppers in a class.
I think I grew up with a strong ethic of believing in education, art, and culture, which continues to dominate my life even now.
Theater is something that I miss having access to.
Theatre is there are no retakes. Once you're on stage, you perform. If you've forgotten a line, you forget a line.
Specifically, you mentioned it was to help people from disadvantaged backgrounds go to US.
Where we were helping people who had no idea of their potential, giving them that hand-holding, helping them to get admission.
Especially with Masters Union, we are very big on learning by doing. So your thoughts on the work that we have been doing here at Masters Union?
I'm a huge fan. More power to you and to all the other programs and projects and institutions that the group is going to be launching and talking about.
How do we remain grounded? How do we let be accessible?
But I think meeting people from all walks of life, from all countries, nationalities, backgrounds, has definitely helped me to become a more well-rounded person.
Hi, welcome back. This is Ankur Vora. We have yet another exciting and insightful guest with us today, Mr. Vivek Mansukhani, Head of IIE India. He is a dear friend and a person with an enigmatic personality, and a guy that I adore and love, and a dear friend for me for last decade and more. It is going to be a really, really interesting conversation. So, Vivek, thank you so much. My audience at Intersect by Masters Union may know you as the head of IIE India, but you and me go back at least a decade, and you are someone that has been, you know, I've met many people in education and higher education leaders, and I think you stand out because apart from all the credentials you have academically, all the laurels that you have had over 3 decades long career, I think that humanness and that energy and that vibe that you have, that resonates very strongly with me, and you make the conversations very comfortable. I remember the first time I met you, I was at Ashoka and I came to your office in IIE in Delhi. And I was expecting, somebody, really serious, as somebody who has worked in fantastic organization, now IIE and then before that. But you made it very comfortable, and that shows us the kind of leader that you are. So I'm so excited and happy that you have taken time out here for me and our community at Intersect by Masters Union. So excited.
Thank you so much, Ankur. Real pleasure to be here, privileged to be here. Yes, as you said, we've known each other for several years, and I've seen you morph over so many avatars. And particularly during the pandemic, I remember how active you were online. And, I was following you diligently, and you got me involved in a couple of these webinars as well. But I just love your energy. I just love the fact that you are persistent, you network, you're there at every big event, and everyone knows you. So I'm really thankful that you invited me here as one of your guests.
Thank you, Hare Krishna. Uh, this podcast series is a very intimate kind of a conversation with people that come here. It's more about the person rather than the organization. That is how we have kept it, and we have kept it by choice because lot of leaders like you, uh, my audience wants to know what was their journey like, what was their path like, what
Right.
were the values that they were following. And education as it is, even today, is not the first choice of the toppers in a class. Nobody
Sure.
wants to become a teacher or a professor, by the way. And then, so what took them on that path where they are now today in front of us? So this is going to be a very intimate and a personal conversation. And I'll start from your early years, your the city that you grew up in, your family life, and the schooling that you had, the early years of Vivek. What were those like?
Yeah, so Ankur, I grew up in Calcutta. I always call it Calcutta, even though it's called Kolkata. And, I was born to what I would call a middle class family. My parents had both migrated from Hyderabad, Sindh in Pakistan, and had set up a new life in India. And my parents then relocated to Calcutta, which is where I was born, and my younger brother was born there. And I think we're very fortunate, both of us, to have got a really high quality education. So we went to what was then and probably is now one of the best schools in Calcutta, the St. Xavier's School. So I did my early education for 10 years from that school. And I think that school definitely, the teachers, the students, and of course my parents as well, helped me to imbibe some really strong values that have remained with me in my life so far. So we also met some amazing students. It was an all boys school, of course, but that's where I started my interest in extracurricular, primarily in elocution, debating, drama, and speaking, and so on. And also the fact that I grew up in Calcutta, I'm very happy because it's an artistic, cultural community. And very unlike Delhi, which I migrated to some years later, I think I grew up with a strong ethic of believing in education, art, and culture, which continues to dominate my life even now. So those are the areas that I work in. And yeah, growing up was a fantastic experience. I would do it all over again. I also then went to do my plus two, my 11 and 12 at St. James's School, which was then headed by one of India's leading educationists, Mr. John Mason, who we lost very recently, a couple of years ago. And he went on to be the principal at Doon School and other schools in Dubai and so on. And he really, having made me the school captain, and I didn't believe because I was not someone who was into sports that much, but I was more into elocution and debating. But he really took me under his wing and gave me this position of leadership at a very young age of my life. And I think really nurtured me. And he was a fantastic educator, teacher, a drama director as well. I worked with him in several productions and we won inter school drama competitions. And I think learning from him, observing him, how his just magnetic personality, how he was able to take everyone within the fold and he knew every single student's name, every teacher's name. So I think I imbibed a lot of qualities just having a mentor like him early on in life. So that was my first sort of 12 years of school education.
Wonderful, wonderful. And post your school, you
So I continued in Calcutta at that time, because I was a bright student, but I didn't want to do science necessarily. So everyone said you should do commerce. So I joined St. Xavier's College to do a Bachelor's of Commerce in an honors capacity. And that's what I did. And because I was at that time, I don't know if you're aware, St. Xavier's College and some other colleges in Calcutta have a 6 to 9 a.m. classes. So you're then free for the entire day.
okay.
So I joined that course. And
6 to
because-
9 a.m. classes.
Yes, it's morning classes. Because what they believe is a bit similar to Masters Union, you need to get real life experience. So academics doesn't mean you study from 9 to 5 in a college or a university.
Okay.
You do your
Wow.
course, and then the rest of the day, there are many people who do commerce who come from business families. They can go and work with their businesses.
Wonderful.
Or you can go and do other professional programs or join in company and do other trainings. So I decided to do a chartered accountancy alongside my BCom. So that's what I pursued all those 3 years of my BCom degree, doing a chartered accountancy degree alongside.
Wow. So CA and BCom.
Well, I didn't eventually finish my last exam, which is still pending, because I realized at that time, having done it for 3-4 years, that I really didn't want to work in the finance sector. Even though I'm a Sindhi and Sindhis are known to be great at finance and money matters. But I decided to do other things. So I didn't quite finish my CA, but I had that entire experience of working for 3 years as an article clerk and doing lots of audits and clearing several exams. Yeah.
Wow. So, I mean, commerce, Calcutta, I mean, fantastic institutions, and you know, uh, so I think that amount of time in your career, when let's go back and Vivek is graduating from Xavier's, and you have understood, okay, CA is not that I would like to pursue, commerce is not that you would like to pursue, then what were the options that you were exploring? What was that journey like?
Yeah. So I was heading to be a chartered accountant, so to speak, and figuring out what I would do with that degree. But very sort of out of the blue came an opportunity to work with the British Council, which was my first job, my first employer. I was just out of college, maybe a year later. And they were looking for someone to they were looking someone to be part of their team in the projects department, which was managing a lot of UK funded projects in all sectors: education, health, science and tech, arts and culture, everything. So I went for an interview. I had no idea whether I'd be selected, but I was selected. And I said, let's give it a shot. Let me try it. It's a very well-known international organization. And the British Council in Calcutta, particularly in those days, was a wonderful place. It had a huge bungalow, there was a library, there were cultural events. So I think by default, something the universe had conspired. I joined the British Council and started working there for about 2.5, 3 years. And then there was an opportunity to move to Delhi with the British Council. So this was for a role where they wanted someone to head their scholarships, education, and alumni work. So again, I was sent to Delhi for a day. I did an interview, and I had no idea that I would be selected. But the very next day, they said, "We would like you to come. Are you happy to move from Calcutta?" And then overnight, literally, I had no idea that my next job would be outside of Calcutta. I actually moved to Delhi. And it's been like, what, almost 30 years then, since then. Yeah, yeah.
Wow. So I think if I have to take a moment here, so British Council, you went there
Yeah,
just for an interview, and then you fell in love with the place. I mean,
sure.
and then it continued. And I think you worked with the British Council for about a decade.
Yes, in that stint, I worked almost a decade.
Okay.
And I was very happy there, heading the scholarships work for India. That was the time when the Chevening scholarships were introduced, and I was kind of responsible for making that happen in India. I was interacting a lot with very high flying people from the British High Commission, from the High Commissioner himself to others. And the Queen of England came to India in 1997, the 50th anniversary.
Yeah, I
So I was responsible for a lot of organization of her visit in India, meeting all our scholars and education people. I remember shaking hands. That was a very memorable moment. And overall, it was a fantastic time where I met some amazing young people from the country. And that's another thing that kind of helped me understand that my role definitely in education is very precious. And how I'm able to, I'm not an educationist, I'm an education administrator in all these roles that I've done. But, lighting someone else's way helps you to light your own. So working with these young students who are going for academic programs, working with slightly older professionals who are going for short-term training to UK, working with the UK university sector, visiting the UK several times, going to all these universities, I think that really laid the foundation or the base for me to carry on in this sector for many, many years, even after that.
Amazing. I'm sure. I mean, hosting the Queen, and then you, I mean, talked about the Chevening scholarship, and
yeah.
I can imagine the value that you would have added to so many lives. I mean,
Absolutely. The British Council was and continues to be a very exciting place. It's like a cultural melting pot. So, although I was working in the education sector, one would meet people from science and tech, from arts and culture, from government, media. So moving to Delhi was a brand new experience for me because I didn't know anyone here except a couple of friends and relatives. But then through the British Council and through this opportunity, I was able to really expand my network.
Wow.
And that continues. So even the scholars and alumni that I interacted with then are still friends.
Wonderful, wonderful. And so you were in your stint, was the Chevening scholarship launched in India?
It was launched in India in the mid 90s, and now it continues to this day.
continues.
And in fact, I was responsible for designing the Gurukul scholarship programs and others which were being offered and are still continuing. So it's very heartwarming to know that a number of efforts that my team and I made at that time are still
And
existing.
for our audience that may not know it, the Chevening scholarship is offered to graduates of
Right.
universities.
So the Chevening Scholarship is funded by the Foreign and Commonwealth Office of the UK government.
Okay.
And it is for different kinds of programs, for undergraduate programs, graduate programs, and also certain short-term programs which we started at that time to send young professionals like lawyers, managers, journalists to the UK on a 3-month stint where they
Okay.
do some academic work and they also get hands-on practical experience working in a law firm, in a media company, in an IT industry, and so on.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
Yeah, yeah.
Sounds amazing. Thank you so much for being a part of this effort.
Sure.
And then, I mean, after British Council, you worked at
Yeah, so I was kind of headhunted by the Ford Foundation. I was very happy at the British Council,
wow.
but some of them from the Ford Foundation came to meet with me in my office, and they were launching at the turn of the century in 2001 a brand new scholarship program called the Ford Foundation International Fellowships Program, which we call IFP for short.
Okay.
So this program was something that they had designed to support people from very disadvantaged backgrounds, people who normally don't have access to education in their own country or certainly not to international higher education, people who won't even know how to apply to an international program.
Okay.
So this program they were launching, and they were looking for someone to be part of the team here in India, because India was an important country. They were launching it in 22 countries where the Ford Foundation has its office. So when I was kind of, reflecting on my career, and I said, I've done now several years, as you said, a decade of working with the British Council. I've met some of the most amazing minds, dynamic people, but people who also have access. But this program was talking about reaching out to those who lack access, those who lack equity, and those who lack the opportunity to be able to educate themselves further. So it took a month or two for me to make up my mind, but then I decided, let's give it a chance. It was a startup, so to speak. Nobody had done this program before in India, to look at these kinds of people and give them that international scholarship opportunity. So that's when I decided to join the Ford Foundation Fellowships Program. And I always knew it was a 10-year program, because it was a pilot program for 10 years in every country.
Okay.
So I knew it was a decade again, but I said, let's do it. And that decade eventually turned out to be 12 years.
Okay.
Because we took more time to wrap up the program, write a lot of reports, and do some more outreach about what we learned from the program.
Okay. And specifically, you mentioned it was to help people from disadvantaged backgrounds
Yes.
go to US.
So, although the funder was American, the Ford Foundation philanthropy
Yeah.
of the Ford family, they were very generous. And this scholarship is something I really love to talk about whenever I get the opportunity. They said the students can go and study in any country in the world.
Okay.
So, whether you decide UK, US,
Wow, that is very
Japan,
unique.
Very unique.
Okay.
Also, there was no cutoff age limit for this program. So we've sent scholars who were 60 years old. In Russia, they found someone who was 65, and a human rights activist went to study a master's degree in human rights. So there was no cutoff limit, because normally you have 30, 35 years.
Yeah, absolutely.
And also, we were not recruiting people from the main cities only of all the countries. So that's where I learned so much more about our own country, looking at the Bimaru states, looking at other underprivileged states where education is not a priority. So we would go to Gujarat, we would go to Kashmir, we would go to Jharkhand, and really talk to universities, talk to NGOs, talk to local leaders to help us identify, those real gems. So people who had not necessarily even studied in English, who had traveled from their villages and towns to go to get higher education, people who were supporting their families, women who were, married and not able to continue education but wanted to come back. So, and all the subject areas, Ankur, also, this was not just one particular area. So, and these were in the social sciences. So it could be education, it could be arts and culture, media, human rights, health was a big thing, poverty alleviation, or development areas as well. So we found these really wonderful people. The India program that I was part of, we found about 350 people over 10 years. And then the program was supporting them to learn English language, to learn computer skills, and then get admission to the Harvards and the Oxfords of the world.
Wow.
So it was a wonderfully satisfying program where we were helping people who had no idea of their potential, giving them that hand-holding, helping them to get admission, and then funding every single expense, from travel to visa to family support to everything.
What an impact.
And that's a model, Ankur, I've really tried to talk to many people over the years to replicate. Because can you imagine? I mean, we have wonderful philanthropies here who sponsor school education, primary, thousands of students get educated. That's wonderful. But how many people would stand up and say, Vivek, you're an underprivileged person, I'm going to invest $100,000 in you, and for no return. You don't have to work for my company.
Yeah.
You don't have to sign a bond. So I think it was very visionary of the Ford Foundation to think of such a program.
Yeah.
And as I said, over 10 years in 20 countries, they had more than 4,500 people they have trained. So it was a huge investment in billions of dollars.
Billions of dollars, but I'm sure of great impact.
Yeah,
Nobody,
yeah.
I've never heard of somebody
Sure.
doing something like
Yeah,
this.
I'd love to discuss this with you and see how we can, share this model with others.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. So, I mean, phenomenal. I mean, Ford Foundation, British Council, and then it led to, I think, IIE.
Well, there was a little gap in between where when this project finished at the IIE, at
Ford
the
Foundation.
Ford Foundation, and I was thinking maybe I should take a break. I've been working for so many years. Like, the British Council invited me to head their arts and culture division.
Okay.
Yeah, because parallelly, and maybe we can talk about it later, that I've always had an interest in the arts, doing theatre work primarily. So they were looking for a director, Arts India, and they heard that I was now getting out of the Ford Foundation because the project was ending. And again, they invited me for coffee, and I went and met them. I said, "Chalo, why not? Let's try this." And it was very exciting because they were planning the 2017, the 70th year of India's independence.
Okay.
So there was a big fund for doing lots of arts and culture work over the next few years. So that's when in 2013, I rejoined the British Council, but in a different avatar as the head of arts and culture.
Now, this is a perfect cue in something that I want to know
Sure.
more about your love for theater. And, you know, unfortunately, I have never seen you in action in theater. I hope to change that soon.
Sure.
But tell us a bit more about your, your journey. I read, I think it was your LinkedIn profile. And, you're the art director for Scene Stealers. So tell us more about this theater group and your work in theater.
So as I was saying, one of my mentors in early life was Mr. John Mason. So he got me very involved in drama. And around the same time, I met a wonderful other mentor, a lady called Zareen Chowdhury, who was actually the arts director of the Calcutta office at that time. And she did some amazing work in theatre. She also worked with children who are hearing impaired. So those who are deaf and dumb, as we call them, but the actual term is hearing impaired. So I joined her company, and I was their voicing actor for many years. So I would work with the deaf artists, learn sign language, American Sign Language. And when they would act, I would tell their stories using my voice. So again, I've learned so much about theatre from Zareen ma'am. So with all these interests, when I joined college, St. Xavier's College in Calcutta, I started my own theatre company. And that is a company called Scene Stealers.
Oh, wow. Well, it's from your college time.
It's from my college time. And my college time, in the first year, we did a production, just all of us first year students, which was a huge hit in Calcutta. So everyone was coming. It was a comedy. It was great fun. So from that time, I've been very interested in theatre as an actor, as a director, as a writer, and also a producer, because you end up doing all the work yourself, putting the team together. So I've continued. So when I moved to Delhi, I worked with a number of wonderful theatre companies in Delhi, Barry John, Joy Michael, and all their wonderful organizations. But then when I wanted to do more of my kind of plays, I decided to restart Scene Stealers in Delhi.
Okay.
So I've always had a parallel career in education and culture. Education is kind of my day job, my dal roti, my bread and butter. And for fun, for my passion, I mean, people have different passions.
Yes.
Some do sports, some do other things.
Yeah.
So for me, it is theatre. So I've been, again, very blessed to have met a number of people through the theatre network. And that's why I thought that the British Council job, the second stint, would be very interesting.
Just on the theatre aspect of it. I mean, you said you are a director, you are an actor, you are a producer. What is the role that you enjoy the most?
I think what I enjoy most definitely is being on stage, so an actor, because then you get to play so many different parts. You are on stage when the audience is giving you that feedback, that appreciation, and the applause. I think everyone dies for that. And it's also a wonderful journey because in different plays, you play different characters, you explore your own potential. So I think it started with wanting to act on stage, but then you realize कि direct भी करना होता है, produce भी करना होता है, write भी करना होता है. So I think I've dabbled in all departments. And because I have had considerable experience, I've also been training a number of media institutions, a number of schools and colleges, running theatre workshops for students. Yeah.
Wow. And what is your favorite role that you have played on the stage?
Okay, favorite acting role that I've done is a play called Art, A-R-T. It's a very simple play about three friends who meet one evening, best friends, right? They meet each other every day. But one day, one of them buys a piece of painting, like an art, and it's just a white canvas. And one other friend says, "What is this rubbish that you bought? You spent so many thousands of dollars on this." And they have a big fight. And my role is the mediator. I try and patch up both of them. And in that, I bring out my whole emotional journey of my own life. But it's a comedy, but it's all talking about friendship. And are you the person your friends think you are, or are you a person who's very different? So how much do you reveal of yourself, and how much do you know about your other friends? So very deep and intimate play, and I really enjoyed playing that character.
Wow. Sounds amazing.
Yeah, I would like to revive that at some stage.
You should. I mean, it is. I mean, hearing this is something that I would love to see.
Sure.
And so, Vivek, in the era of Netflix and cinema on screen
OTT,
and OTTs, how do you see theater coming along in the next generation? I mean, somebody like me also.
Yeah.
I think theater is something that I miss having access to.
Right.
And if we are sitting at Masters Union, we have so many youngsters around us,
Yeah.
and if you have to talk about theater to them, what is it that you think somebody should
Be aware of.
be aware of about theater?
So acting on OTT and doing other things for OTT and Netflix, film, cinema, television is great. But I think even the best actors are those who have graduated from doing theater. Because theater is personal. Theater is, there are no retakes. Once you're on stage, you perform. If you've forgotten a line, you forget a line. In a cinema, you can reshoot. Like what we're doing now, if something goes wrong, we can stop the camera and start again. But theater is live, and theater is also a sense of community. As an actor in a film, you go do your part, you come back home, it's over. Tomorrow you're doing another shoot. But if you're working together for 3 months, 4 months, 6 months with a group of actors, your designers, your backstage people, the production people, you learn so much. You learn the qualities of teamwork, which are very important in this world. You learn how to lead, you learn how to follow, you learn that every single person, even if he's coming on stage for 1 minute, is very important. Because if he doesn't come on stage for that 1 minute, the play will not progress.
Yeah.
So you learn a lot about respecting others, respecting their space, their individuality, learning about the fact how to think on your feet. If some other actor has forgotten their cue or their line, how do you jump in and help them? So it has a lot of life skills, which I think young people and older people need all the time. So I think I'm very grateful that I've always had theater, and I've learned from some of the best teachers, and of course picked up a lot myself working with many other individuals.
So-
Theater teaches you a lot of life skills.
Yeah, and so final question on theater.
Sure.
When you were in college, what attracted you to theater? What was your first? Is what like I want to be an actor? I mean,
At that stage, it was I want to be an actor. I'd got this chaska by working in school productions and enjoying being on stage. And I used to read a lot of plays at that time. And then I said, this play is amazing. Why don't we stage it? So that's how I put a call out for other actors in the college to come. And that's how it all started.
wow. And I mean, it has. Amazing to know that it has stuck around with you. It's not only that you had that.
Yeah,
love
all
only in
those who were in
college.
the first production, they've all moved on, and
Yeah.
they say, guys, you're carrying on regardless. I said, well, it's a passion that has given me so much.
And that comes across. I mean,
Yeah.
we are also connected on Facebook. I
Sure.
keep seeing you keep posting about your
Shows, yeah.
shows, and so it really is. I mean, something that I think you love doing, and it is very apparent.
And I would love doing more of that
Yeah.
if it was a paying profession for me, but at the moment, you can't make that much money out
Yeah,
of theater.
yeah.
So I do it more as a passion, but who knows? Once I retire, I might just end up doing only theater.
Yes, so okay. So coming back to your dal
Today.
roti,
Yeah.
you actually put it that way, right? Dal roti at IIE, Institute of
Yes.
International Education, India. I mean, I think you've been with them for about 7 years, six,
Correct.
7 years.
Exactly.
And so, what is happening there? How did you end up in this role? And
Yeah, very interesting. I think at all my points, I've kind of been picked by someone or the other rather than having to look for a job. So again, when the British Council, the anniversary year was over, and I was figuring what to do next, because it would have been more of the same. And I'd done a lot of great work. My team had done a lot of great work with the festival. So we'd done performances from UK, from India in theater, dance, music, literature, creative arts, fashion, cinema, everything, the creative industries. So when I was getting a little saturated with that, that's when the IIE opportunity came up. My predecessor was leaving Delhi and she was moving to another city, and the role needed to be in Delhi because the office is here. So she approached me, said, would you be interested to apply for this role? I said, sure, let me give it a shot. And I was interviewed by some amazing people in our New York office. And because there was a connection, the Ford Foundation program that I had worked on was also one of the partners was IIE. So I knew about them a little bit at that time. So they offered me this role to head this India office, which is based in New Delhi, which also covers South Asia. And I said, chalo, education is probably my dal roti more than culture, and maybe I should go back to it. So that's when, as you said, 7 years ago, I joined the IIE office in India. And it's been a fabulous journey, despite the pandemic years, despite everything that's been going on in recent times. I think it's a wonderful organization to be part of. It's a global company with over 600 people around the globe, several offices in the US and in other countries. And I think the people there are people who I'm really inspired by. and they're connected. And again, the mission of it is to the power of international education. It started in 1919, like
Okay.
106 odd years ago. And there's a lot of stuff happening there. We manage a whole host of scholarship, fellowship programs on behalf of the US government, corporates, foundations, philanthropies. We also have university partnerships between US and Indian universities.
Okay.
We bring delegations from the US to India to understand the landscape here, following particularly the national education policy guidelines and changes. And pretty much anything and everything in international education, we are able to be so we are a non-profit. So we are able to build bridges, bring people together, and add value to those programs, projects, and policies even.
Wonderful. So, I mean, all the US scholarships are also managed by you? I mean,
Yes.
the Fulbright and all that?
Fulbright is not managed by our IIE
Okay.
office here because that's managed by the Fulbright Commission at the US IEF.
Okay.
But there are a host of other scholarships that are funded by corporates and foundations.
Okay.
These are not necessarily for students to go and study in the US.
Okay.
Some are for studies abroad, like the Quad Fellowship Program. Some are for students to study in India, but the company would like to give them financial assistance
Okay.
to continue their education here.
Okay.
And also give them a lot of training, mentoring, leadership from their employees.
Yeah.
So it's called the COE program, where employees are giving some of their time in terms of guiding these young women.
Okay.
So we have programs for young women in IT, young women in environmental sustainability. So they get some funding here to help them with their degree, but they also get exposed to a lot of international faculty, online, webinars. Sometimes it could be travel also overseas. So a mixed bag of programs.
And I think amazing work you're doing at IIE with. I mean, recently we were at the API.
Sure.
And we had the anniversary celebrations, and it was an amazing event. And our students also volunteered.
That was amazing. Yes, at our 20th anniversary.
20th anniversary, and they had an amazing experience. And I mean, you also introduced us to a couple of universities
Sure.
that visited us, and those conversations are still ongoing. So I know the impact of your work is amazing at IIE. So kudos to you and more power to you. Now coming to us, Masters Union, you have
Yes.
been at Intersect on our panels and on a couple of occasions, and you have been a huge supporter to the philosophy of bridging the industry academia gap, and especially with Masters Union, we are very big on learning by doing.
Right.
So your thoughts on the work that we have been doing here at Masters Union, we'd love to hear that also.
Great. I think it's an amazing, innovative idea, and this is, I think, the requirement for the day. Like I said, in my own college experience, I was studying in the morning and working during the day.
Amazing.
I think bringing this whole practical experience, it's not bookish knowledge anymore. So 21st century skills for students and older people are going to change from just learning by rote and or vomiting that in the examination room and then forgetting about that. It's this practical experience which MU is giving to students by bringing faculty from industry, from the sector, prominent individuals for guest lectures, master classes. I think it's a very exciting format. I know not everyone ascribes to that, whether it's students, whether it's parents, whether it's governments, maybe even. But I think as a trailblazer, as someone who's started this program and shown the success, shown the actual proof that it actually works,
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan. And I'm more power to you and to all the other programs and projects and institutions that
Absolutely.
the group is going to be launching and talking about. And yes, interacting with you and your team at Intersect has always been a pleasure. It's like you get to meet like-minded people, exchange ideas, something sparks off, like at the very last Intersect, met with Meenakshi and other people at College Board, and lots of ideas have sparked off since then. So I think networking is such a huge element of what we do.
Yeah.
And I would urge more people to take time to attend conferences, come to your events, and you also have such a strong online community
Yeah.
where you're bringing smaller groups together. So yeah, a huge fan
Thank
and
you.
more power
Thank
to you as well.
Thank you. And Vivek ji, thank you so much for those encouraging words. Just to finish this conversation, I think you're absolutely right. Learn by doing is a philosophy that is disrupting. Although you shared that in your own college, 6 to 9, that's amazing. I mean, they were also believing in that learn by doing philosophy. But yes, it's a disruptor. With Masters Union, it took initial few years for us to actually make people understand that this can be executed beautifully. And now people have started, realizing that this is the way forward. And
Right.
even, we had the Honorable Vice President of India coming and attending, he was the guest of honor at our convocation, where
Sure.
he had great things to say about
Mm.
our founders, Pratham, and he was he wanted more of Masters Union in the country. So
That's amazing.
I'm also happy that you are also resonating with us, and you have always supported us. So thank you
Yeah.
for that. Finally, Vivek, final question. I love your energy. I love the way your sense of humor, the way you connect with people. And as I started this conversation, you make us all feel very comfortable around you. Uh, so, what gives you this energy, and what keeps you grounded? Because if you see your resume, you have been at the best of the places. Ford
Sure.
Foundation, British Council, and now IIE. So I think this is very important for uh, my audience and for all of us youngsters to how do we remain grounded? How do we, let be accessible to people around us? Your views on this?
Yeah, as you said, Ankur, now looking back at my career, I've always worked with some leading institutions, international organizations, always. I've never since worked for an Indian company so far. Maybe I will. But I think meeting people from all walks of life, from all countries, nationalities, backgrounds, has definitely helped me to become a more well rounded person. As you said yourself, my theater experience has helped me meet another cross section of people, definitely. But I think the values my parents, my family, and all these teachers and mentors have helped me with are definitely play a big role. But other than that, since you asked about my energy and the way I conduct myself, I think I would ascribe a lot of that to a philosophy I follow. So I'm a practicing Buddhist.
Okay.
I practice the Nichiren Buddhism philosophy,
Okay.
which is basically the Buddhism of the Shakyamuni Buddha, but it is something that then was slightly altered in Japan way back about 800 years ago. And now this is one of the most popular forms of Buddhism around the world. It's called Nichiren Buddhism.
Okay.
And this Buddhist practice involves chanting to awaken to your highest potential. So that's something we do every day, morning and night. It's a prayer, it's a chant that we do to bring out our own Buddha nature and also to bring out the Buddha nature of everyone in our environment, which means that we really respect each person as a Buddha. We really respect each person, however different he or she might be in our environment, but we look at their Buddha nature. So I'm not looking at you, Ankur, as just Ankur at MU and so on. I'm looking at you, Ankur, as a Buddha who's an enlightened being. So when I look at you like that, it doesn't matter what your background is, I still respect you. So I think that is something that has helped me polish my life, hopefully try and become a better human being, be more accepting of everything that's happening, and also to understand that everything that's happening in my life is a effect of what the causes that I have made. So a lot of cause and effect. So if I want to change anything in my life, I don't need to blame Ankur and blame somebody else and blame someone else, but look at what I can change in my life. So this practice has helped me reflect a lot deeply and understand how I can be more responsible for what's happening in my environment rather than just sitting back and saying, why is this happening? Why am I dealing with this problem and the other? So it's a very self-empowering practice.
Beautiful. Now I know, Hare Krishna. And that is where, that's where I always wanted to ask you this question today. I had this at a moment, so I'm so happy.
Sure.
Yeah, because at your position, there will be people talk about stress all the time, and
Right.
this is stressful, that is stressful. And at your position, I'm sure there are, you have your own stresses in life.
Indeed,
But
indeed.
you are always smiling, you have that energy. And I think now you have spoken about where do you get this energy from. I think to learn from this, my audience, it will be like there has to be some spiritual
Sure,
path
sure.
also along with your professional and personal journey.
Yeah,
That is
and
also
I'm very lucky. I've been doing this for about 23 years
23
now.
years.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Wow. I think that spiritual angle is also important. Although we talk about AI and technology and all
Sure,
those things,
sure.
but I think that
It's the
spiritual
human connection,
connection
absolutely.
has to, and our connection with the higher being
Yeah.
has to be, established in some form or another. So thank you,
Absolutely.
Vivek. What a conversation I had the honor of having with you. Thank you for taking
Thank
time
you.
out and sharing with us about your journey, about your life. Wish you all the very best for your future and your professional role and theater. And I hope to catch one of your shows soon.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Honor. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.